السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا مولانا محمد رسول الله وآله وأصحابه ومن والاه. اللهم افتح مسامع قلوبنا لذكرك. Ya Allah, please open the hearing channels of our hearts to your dhikr. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. Ya Allah, please help us see truth and acknowledge it to be the truth, and help us to embrace it, and help us see falsehood, and help us recognize it to be falsehood, and give us the strength to withhold from it. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam, the father of Islam, of loving surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now says, I am going to my Lord. He will guide me. And now the guidance is told to us, perhaps in this way. First, a prayer. Rabbi habli min as-salihin. Oh my Lord, please gift me of the righteous ones. Habli, give me the gift, the hiba. A gift, in other words, it's not something I deserve. It's a gift, and everything that one has and owns, regardless of means, it is always a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. Habli min as-salihin. And he was of old age, alayhi salatu wasalam. He was of old age in accordance to the biblical accounts. When, for example, Sayyiduna Ismael was born, Sayyiduna Ibrahim was 83 years of age around that time. And then Sayyiduna Ishaq, when he was born, Sayyiduna Ismael was 13 years of age in accordance to the biblical accounts. So he was old, but then old in those days is not necessarily old in these days in terms of physical capacity and mental capacity and emotional capacity, especially that he was a Nabi of the Ulu al-Azm, Rasulun min Uli al-Azm. So he implores Allah Azza wa Jal for a child, a righteous child, not just a child. Ya Allah, I want a child. Most people, they want a child. They have a child and they regret it for the rest of their lives. Habli min as-salihin. Grant me a child of the righteous ones. And this is a Nabi. He didn't take it for granted. I'm a Nabi. I'm going to have a child. I'm going to rear a child. He's going to be righteous. I do, therefore there is. Cause, therefore effect. No, he will do all of that. But habli min as-salihin. It's all in the divine schedule and in the divine will subhanahu wa ta'ala. Habli min as-salihin. And Allah says, فَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. This beautiful immediate answer comes. We gave him the glad tidings of a child, of a boy, ghulam. So he knew it was going to be a boy, ghulam. And ghulam also means, some ulama would say, the way the words are used here, already in the word ghulam, it is telling Sayyiduna Ibrahim that he will at least reach the age of siba. Because in the Arabic language, you don't call an infant ghulam. You don't call a newborn baby, ghulam. Ghulam is when the person grows and probably reaches the age of puberty. So it's like in this word, it's already going to be a ghulam. And ghulam, to live. Until a ghulam at least. بِغُلَامٍ halim. The word halim is a character, is a khuluq, is a condition of the heart. And that I think in the Quran, the anbiya that are described as Halim are only Sayyidina Ibrahim and his son, Halim. Inna Ibrahim halimun awwahun munib. Ibrahim Halim, awwahun munib. And here the son is going to be Halim. Halim is a very, very special characteristic. Is a person who is Halim withstands so much hurt and onslaught, emotional and otherwise. To be Halim, that's why the people of Hilm, the great wise man of our Islamic history who were ulama and who had Hilm, when asked sometimes some of them, what is Hilm? One of them said, Al-Hilmu al-Dhul. Al-Hilmu al-Dhul. It doesn't mean it means al-Dhul. Al-Dhul means humiliation. It means to be Halim, you have to withstand humiliation. Because Halim is a person who is humiliated and is able to reciprocate or to punish, but he does not, or she does not, and acts as though he is the one who is wrong. Halim, very, very, very difficult khuluq to have. It's not only sabr, it's not only patience, it's more than patience. It's Halim. Imagine a lion, but this is very theoretical, a lion being attacked by a dog. And the dog bites. And the lion stays there. The dog bites, and the lion gets up and runs away. That's Hilm. Ghulam Halim. In other words, a ghulam who's going to be very forbearing, who's going to bear pain, bear the most difficult of challenges, of emotional challenges. Ghulamun Halim. Now, immediately, quickly, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. Now the boy comes to life indeed, comes to existence, and quickly he has reached the age, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. The age of Sa'i. He reached along with his father, Sa'i. Now, of course, most commentators have said, Sa'i here means also that he has reached the age of being a ghulam, to therefore be able to work in the field with his father and to help his father and to receive orders from his father. You know, he's like strong, young teenager. وَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. When he reached that Sa'i. And at that level, of course, the father is very, very attached to the son. You know, the son in those days especially works in the field with his father, listens to his father, obeys his father, especially that the child is very respectful and very obedient and special, subhanAllah. That was that child. بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. But Sa'i here is more than that. That too, but it's more than that. Remember, this is a very powerful, real story, but powerful, real spiritual story as well. This Sa'i is also spiritual Sa'i. In other words, Allah perhaps is telling us that this child reached a spiritual maturity of his awareness of the divine, subhanahu wa ta'ala, to partake along with his father in the Sa'i for Allah Azza wa Jal. Because Allah in the Quran, as you know, many of you calls obedience, ibadah of Allah Azza wa Jal, and doing the right things with your heart and with your senses in obedience of Allah is called Sa'i. وَأَن لَيْسَ لِلْإِنسَانِ إِلَّا مَا سَعَى. That the human being only harvests that which Sa'a, for. That which you strive for. Sa'i between Safa and Al-Marwa, that symbolizes the sa'i in our lives, going back and forth, up and down, through hardships and through opportunities. Sa'i between Safa and Marwa, as our mother Hajar alayhi salam did physically, but it symbolizes that sa'i, that struggle in our lives, coming back and forth between Safa and Marwa. Sa'i. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. And it had to be that way. Because this is not simply about being a boy able to do work. This is about a boy being able to do spiritual work. And was very spiritually beautiful, very special. Why? Because of the next thing that comes. فَلَمَّا بَغْلَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. Now he gives him a task. And this is a task. This task is not go tend for the cows. قَالَ إِنِّي أَرَى فِي الْمَنَامِ أَنِّي أَذْبَحُكَ. When he reached that age and that level, he must have been very, very beloved to his father. I mean, to have a child who is this mature spiritually and intellectually at an early age, in addition to physically, etc., but mature spiritually and intellectually. Oh, that's the qurrat ayn of a father like Sayyidina Ibrahim, of the righteous father or mother. Must have been the qurrat ayn. And you must have had so much attachments to him, so much hubb, love for the child. That gift that he asked for. He is given that gift. And he has so much attachments, legitimate, positive, beautiful, loving attachment for the son. بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعْيَ. A companion in the path to Allah. بَلَغَ مَعَهُ. With him in his companionship. السَّعْيَ. The striving towards Allah Azza wa Jal. When he is like that and he's going along with his father, then his father tells him, and how could he tell an immature child? This I see in my visions that I am to offer you in sacrifice. That I am to slaughter you. إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك. The ulama say, because the structure is أرى فعل مضارع. أرى, therefore فعل مضارع implies what? The present and the future. It's not madi only, it's going on. Ara. That means he must have seen this vision, this dream, more than once, continuously. It is said that the first time he saw that dream and the dream of the Anbiya, of the prophets of Allah Azza wa Jal, are wahi, are divine inspirations. And that's a fact. الرؤية الصادقة جزء من كذا 64 أو 46 جزءا من النبوة. As he said sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that the truthful dreams, that dreams that come truthful for the believers, are actually a portion of 46 portions of nubuwah. In other words, people, believers who see dreams to come true, that's a gift from Allah of the gifts of nubuwah. Nubuwah is many things. This is 1/46 of the gifts of nubuwah. And that's why it is said, a believing man whose dreams, man or woman whose dreams come true, it's most likely a person who is very truthful also in their lives. And the more our dreams are not true, the more it is an indication that we are liars. As blank as it can be. No flowers for us to change. He sees the dream in Tarwiyah day. That is the night of Tarwiyah, the night of the 8th of Dhul Hijjah. He saw it first, and it is said, he paused. He said, Atarawwa. In other words, I have to wait to make sure that this is divine. That's why it is called the day of Tarwiyah. Tarawwa, yani bit-tarawwi, yani when it has many meanings, of which is, that's why we say ar-rawiyya, when I let something move in my mind and I analyze it and I look at it, that's tarawwi. Ponder something, reflect upon something to understand it and to draw lessons from it. Atarawwa min ar-rawiyya. But also, atarawwa means I fill myself to, when I'm thirsty, I drink. I drink and I prepare myself to drink until hatta atarawwa. That also it means that way. And it has another beautiful meaning for the spiritual symbolism of Hajj and of the day of Tarwiyah. But on that first night of the night of Tarwiyah, he saw it first and he paused to ponder, is this, because this is very, very, very ultimately serious. The next day, which is what? The day of the Tarwiyah, at night, the night of Arafat. He sees it again. And he says, now, al-ana araft. Now I know it is true. And that's why it is called Arafat, or Arafah, or Arafat, of what is said about it, Wallahu ta'ala alam. And then the third day, the day of the Nahr, which is called the day of the Nahr, he saw it again. And it is the day he took his son to fulfill the command of Allah Azza wa Jal, and it is the day of Nahr, the 10th day of Dhul Hijjah. So he tells his son, Inni ara fil manami anni adhbahuk. Allahu Akbar. Fanzur mada tara. Allahu Akbar. He tells him, what's your opinion? This is what I am commanded. This is what I see in my dreams. What do you think, O my son? La ilaha illallah. Fanzur mada tara. Go and ponder. Tell me what you think. By the way, in the Islamic narrative in the Quran, this exists. In the biblical narrative, it does not exist. I remember when I shared this with some Jewish colleagues in some interfaith work, they were extremely surprised. And many of them loved it. Because sometimes they have some attitudes. They were complaining, how could the father do this to his son without kind of... And then I said, he consulted with him. I said, what? He consulted with him? Yes, he consulted with him. What do you think? He gave him the freedom to choose. He also gave him the freedom to choose, because this is a son, بَلَغَ مَعَهُ السَّعِي. This is a son who reached the age of spiritual maturity along with his father. This is a very special ghulam. And the love is going to be even more intense. This son. And to tell you how beautiful that son is, the response comes as he pondered it. Ya abati fa'al ma tu'mar. Oh dear father, do as you are commanded. Satajiduni insha'Allahu min as-sabirin. You will, inshallah, look at this adab. You will, inshallah, find me as you are going to slaughter me of those who are patient. What does this mean? فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا. What does this mean? That mean? فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا. That means both of them, inside of them, surrendered. Lovingly surrendered. Both of them in their hearts, أَسْلَمَا. Everything is removed from their hearts. Nothing remained in their hearts. Neither the hubb, love of the father for his son, nor the hubb, love of the son for his life. Both were cleansed. Whom was it more difficult for? The father or the son? Our ulama, as they pondered that, some say it was more difficult for the son. Some say it was more difficult for the father. And none of us can have the answer, because you're not any one of them. And you will never be any one of them. And Allah will never ask us anything like that, because none of us is worth anything close to what He wanted to give to them. The father grew. This father, not any father, this special father, this super Nabi, after what Allah did with him to his people, and to him after his people wanted to kill him and burn him. And then he asks for more. He asks for more of a special status. Say, Yahdeen, my Lord will guide me. Now Allah will guide him. But at that level, that type of guidance is a different dimension. These are the dimensions of that guidance. To guide, this is what you have to go through. To guide in this case, in other words, to make the heart, your qalb, completely liberated from any and everything legitimate, let alone illegitimate, except the divine. That child you loved, that's Ibrahim alayhi salam. If you want me to give you infinity, you have to remove him from your heart. So, slaughter him. And he wants to give the child at an early age. And was he halim? وَبَشَّرْنَاهُ بِغُلَامٍ حَلِيمٍ. Years later, فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَعُ السَّعِي, they must have forgotten the prayer and with the promise. Halim, this was a halim child. In that trial, he answered the way he answered. And they both surrendered themselves, completely surrendered themselves. And factually, they surrendered themselves. وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. No, aslama inside, the evidence external for that, for us to see. وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. For it is said, he told him, "O Father, so that you do not lose your himma to obey your Lord. And when you look at me in my eyes and I look at you in your eyes, you will weaken in performing the command of your Lord. So turn me on my face." it will be easier for you to fulfill the command of your Lord. تَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. So he put him on his forehead and uses the knife. But the knife will not cut. It is said, Jibreel says, Allahu Akbar. The son says, La ilaha illallah. Allahu Akbar. Doesn't cut. Third time, it doesn't cut. The father says, Allahu Akbar. Walillahi alhamd. That's your talbiyah in Hajj. In the meanwhile, or before that, while he was taking his son to where he would offer him, Shaytan never ceases to delude the human being, even the Anbiya and the Awliya, of course, and you and me, of course. He will never cease in ways consistent with what he knows of us. So he first goes to the mother. Do you know where your son is? Oh no, he went with his father to do it. No, he took him to kill him. He took him to do that. It doesn't work. So he goes to the son. Do you know where your father is taking you? Wherever he's taken me, we're going somewhere. He's going to slaughter you. It doesn't work. And then he goes to Ibrahim. What does he do? Tell Ibrahim alayhi salam, Sayyidina Ibrahim alayhi salam. You know, that dream is from Shaytan. He takes the form of a man. That dream is from Shaytan. It's not from God. He appears to him in one place. Sayyidina Ibrahim recognizes that. That's a test, like any other human. And he recognizes that. And he only uses pebbles to cast at him, to cast at the Shaytan. That's when we cast the pebbles in Jamrat al-Aqaba, al-Sughra. And then he moves again to take his son. He meets him again at a different place where there is what we call Jamrat al-Aqaba al-Wusta. And Sayyidina Ibrahim casts the pebbles. It doesn't work. He goes to the third one where the slaughter is to take place. And again, attempts to delude him and entrap him. He casts the pebbles at him. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allah is greater. And when your qalb is salim, is with Allah Azza wa Jal, what it takes to demolish a shaitani power is a pebble. Is a pebble. When your qalb is with Allah Azza wa Jal, the shaitani challenges around you, you don't need a power commensurate to theirs physically and materially to be free from that and safe from that. Pebbles. And that's why when we go to Hajj and we do that, we remember that story. Remember the Tawheed of Sayyidina Ibrahim and the Tawheed of Sayyidina Ishaq or Ismael alayhim as-salam. We remember that. And we make by that a pledge to Allah Azza wa Jal never to obey Shaitan. Here I cast the demons inside of me. I cast them out. I cast them out. I cast them out. Allah is greater. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. I make that pledge, that commitment, not to be an obedient to Shaitan and to my nafs. I cast that out of me. فَلَمَّا أَسْلَمَا وَتَلَّهُ لِلْجَبِينِ. And when that occurred, when they both surrendered وَنَادَيْنَاهُ أَنْ يَا إِبْرَاهِيمُ قَدْ صَدَّقْتَ الرُّؤْيَا. We called upon him, O Ibrahim, you have been truthful to the vision. You have fulfilled the vision. He did not slaughter his son because it was never intended to be that way. What was intended for Ibrahim alayhi salam is to give him the gift of infinity, to guide him, because he asked for guidance at his level, the guidance at his level. So the heart had to be broken, completely broken. Completely broken. And when you break a vessel, what happens to what's inside of it? It all falls. It's emptied. Completely emptied. And then you remake the vessel. Completely new. With nothing inside of it except what you want. Allah breaks his heart. Break my heart. But we say, don't break my heart. So no, break my heart, but that's very difficult. And when the heart is broken, everything is removed. And then Allah Azza wa Jal refashions it with himself alone inside of it. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam teaches us that nothing contains the divine except the heart of the mu'min. And then he gives him infinity. After removing from his heart all what is finite. But he did that willfully. He did not know that he's going to be spared, because that's the test. The pain was gone through. And they aslama, that's the intent. Saddaqta al-ru'ya, that's the intent. They both surrendered inside. Everything was removed from inside of them. Saddaqta al-ru'ya. That was the intent. That one slaughters his or her own nafs. Once my nafs is slaughtered, that's why when we go to Hajj and we offer the sacrifice, rare are those of us who think of this. This is the essence of it. Allahu Akbar. I slaughter that animal, making a pledge to slaughter myself, my nafs, my drives, my evil inside of me, the nafsani demons inside of me, the negative characteristics and akhlaq and traits inside of me, the arrogance inside of me, the delusion inside of me, the ostentation inside of me, the greed inside of me, the impatience inside of me, the hate inside of me, the injustice inside of me, the impatience inside of me, the love to be the head inside of me, the demeaning of others, of feeling inside of me. I slaughter my nafs. Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. In that spiritual slaughter of the nafs. That's what we're intended to do. Ibrahim alayhi salam and Ismael or Ishaq alayhi salam, that's what happened. The ultimate cleansing, the ultimate cleansing. None of us is going to be asked to do that. Anyone who claims that God asks him to do that and does that to their son, they will be slaughtered themselves. They will be killed. That's special. That's committing murder. But the lesson to be drawn, kill your nafs, liberate your heart from your nafs. And when Allah Azza wa Jal answered the prayer of Ibrahim, Sayahdeen, Rabbi habli min as-salihin. This is the process. The process is through hard work, emotional work. Look what he subjected him to give him. Look what he subjected them to give them. That's why right at the end of this part, what does he say? Inna kadhalika najzi al-muhsinin. This is not just for anybody. What is ihsan? The topmost level of Islam. Allah says, Inna kadhalik. In other words, so indeed will we, so, in other words, in the story I told you, in this manner I told you, Inna kadhalika najzi, reward the muhsinun. In other words, the way, the process to reward the muhsin, this is the process. Through Allahumma inna du'afa'u. Ya Allah, we are weak. We seek your nearness. We seek your help. We seek your hubb love. Don't subject us to that which we cannot bear. Inna kadhalika najzi al-muhsinin. That simply means, simply is a big word here, means that if one is truly a seeker of Allah Azza wa Jal, and has hubb love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he's doing the right things in obedience to Allah Azza wa Jal, like Sayyidina Ibrahim has done up to that point when he sought hidayah, special hidayah. That if you seek the special loftier maqamat of nearness, stations of nearness to Allah, expect in your life what? What? Trials. Those trials are the process by which you are going to be given what you inside sincerely seek and desire. But rest assured, because of his grace subhanahu wa ta'ala, he will never subject anyone to that which he or she cannot bear inside of them. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah has promised, especially for the ummah of Sayyidina Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Allah will not hold to test or to bear any soul by that which it cannot bear. It cannot bear. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. By his rahmah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But على قدر صلابتك في إيمانك يكون كذلك ابتلاؤك. والأنبياء أشد الناس بلاء. And therefore also consistent with the level of the solidity of your faith, so you will be challenged and tested. The stronger your faith, the stronger the tests, not the weaker. And the Anbiya are those who are tested most hardly. Those who are tested hardest. أشد الناس بلاء الأنبياء. Then those who come next to their level in the spiritual attributes. الأولياء ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. إنا كذلك نجزي المحسنين. إن هذا لهو البلاء المبين. So this is the process by bala. And he says this bala to which Ibrahim alayhi salam and his son were subjected is the ultimate manifest bala, trial. إن هذا لهو البلاء المبين. And this is in the context of إن ربي إني ذاهب إلى ربي سيهدين, at their level. إن هذا لهو البلاء المبين. now they have successfully gone through this topmost challenges. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Now the other rewards. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Instead we ransomed him with a mighty offering, sacrifice. As you all know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent through Sayyidina Jibreel a ram to be slaughtered to fulfill the vision literally. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ. Allah ransomed him. فَدَيْنَاهُ. Look at this now. This is the reward. God himself, on account of this man, this Nabi alayhi salam, and this son, have given their innermost, most desirable thing. The last rampart of the nafs given. For Allah Azza wa Jalla, nothing left. Sayyiduna Ibrahim, it is said in some text, divine text, that whenever Allah gave him a choice, he always, under all circumstances, chose Allah's choice. Regardless. This is the ultimate bala, and he still chose Allah's choice. Regardless. This is beyond rationalization, beyond intellectualization. This is simply pure hubb, love, and obedience by that hubb, love. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ. And thus deserves that God himself does that for him. وَفَدَيْنَاهُ بِذِبْحٍ عَظِيمٍ وَتَرَكْنَا عَلَيْهِ فِي الْآخِرِينَ سَلَامٌ عَلَى إِبْرَاهِيمَ. And we left as a pronouncement amongst the later generations, all of them praising, celebrating with peace Ibrahim alayhi salam. Salamun ala Ibrahim. From the angels and from the humans. Salam be upon Ibrahim. Peace be upon Ibrahim alayhi salatu wassalam. Salamun ala Ibrahim. Now this is the gift. Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam. Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam. Jews, Christians, Muslims. Sayyiduna Ibrahim alayhi salam. The legacy of Ibrahim. This is the gift of Allah Azza wa Jal to Sayyidina Ibrahim on account of his istislam with hubb, love. In addition to وَفَدَيْنَاهُ. It's not just a dhibh. We, fadayna, na. This is the gift. God himself ransoms him. This is the gift. And the gift of khillah or khulla. Ibrahim becomes by that the Khalil of Allah. Becomes the Khalil of Allah. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. وَاتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ إِبْرَاهِيمَ خَلِيلًا. And what is Khalil from the Arabic language? تَخَلَّى means to empty, to remove. And the poet says, تخللت مسلك الروح مني فبذا سمي الخليل خليلا. Speaking of hubb, love, divine hubb, love, he says, you have penetrated the innermost, deepest recesses of my soul, pierced through them. That's why the Khalil was named the Khalil, because it's a derivation from تخلى and خلى. تخلل, تخلل. And تخلل means to pierce through something. And that means the heart of Sayyidina Ibrahim, the soul of Sayyidina Ibrahim has been pierced through by the hubb, love of Allah Azza wa Jal. Nothing else has remained and is allowed. And so he's the Khalil of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah removed from his heart every finite thing to give him in his heart the infinite. Khalilullah. At the end, كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. This is the second one. After this, no, this is the jaza, the result of the process of jaza. The first one, the process of jaza. إِنَّا كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. After enumerating to us these positive outcomes, such as fidya and khulla and salam, then he says, كَذَلِكَ نَجْزِي الْمُحْسِنِينَ. So will we reward those who are muhsinun. Inshallah ta'ala. This, my dear brothers and sisters, is also the essence of tazkiyah. And our humble, in our humble ways, to in a very, very, very miskin way, we're going to seek our tazkiyah. It's about liberating our hearts from our nufus. It's about slaughtering our nufus from the drives that are negative and improper. And Allah Azza wa Jal will always give. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم وصلى اللهم وسلم وبارك على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وأصحابه الميامين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.